welcome to the Trident Manchester United podcast, your number one go-to podcast for Manchester United news, stories, drama. Please watch, please enjoy, please come on the journey with us. We're excited. I hope you are too.
How are you doing? I'm Joe. This is the Trident Podcast, and if you love Manchester United and misery as much as we do, you will love this podcast. Subscribe, tune in, hit the things, do all the stuff that you do on the internet.
Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 2 of the Trident, a Manchester United podcast. We're here at Magic Door Studios. We're really excited to be working here in the wonderful facilities. I want to thank James and all the team for their support so far and helping getting the show up on its legs like the baby foal that it is. We're really excited about it, and what a couple of days it's been since we've been on last. I'm joined as always by Joe McGuckin.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Hello, Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Points, how are you doing, pal?
Not too bad. all things considering.
And Iman Jaffrey, who joins us for the first time this week. How are you doing, Iman?
Hello. I'm all right. How are you?
And Nasty can't be here today because he is just back from Saudi Arabia, and I'm sure he has jet lag like you couldn't possibly imagine. But we've loads to talk about and a good few bits to get through today. What a couple of days. We were only deep diving on the Marcus Rashford thing, and there's been significant changes in that scenario over the last couple of hours.
Oh, really? On the last couple of hours?
Yeah.
What? This is news to me. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, he sadly passed away.
Oh, no. No,
No, he's gone to Villa for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But before we get into that in any sort of real great detail, I suppose we should chat about the last couple of matches. You know, what I felt was a pretty positive result, not in the first half, obviously, but I think in the second half, there was significant signs of improvement against FC SB in Romania.
Those Romanian lads.
Yeah, grand bunch of lads. How do we feel that coupled with the result of just absolute fucking hardship and misery that we had yesterday against Palace, which I thought we would have won?
Well, it's hard to be positive about the FSB game when we've had, you know, the Crystal Palace game. I thought there was a lot of improvements. You do have to realise that the opposition, you know, weren't the greatest, and I thought United played well. I thought that they controlled the game for large parts of it. We mentioned last week about United being slow at the start of games and not maybe going for the jugular as much, and I think that's a tactic out of Ruben Amorim to maybe stop the opposition going in and getting the lead ahead of us. And yeah, I mean, it was away from home. 55,000 in the stadium over there in Bucharest is not easy, and a really tough away crowd. And I think the main takeaway from it was Kobbie Mainoo in the 10 was absolutely outstanding. You know, we've been calling for him to play that role for a few weeks now, and he finally got the chance to do it, and he took it. You know, a goal and assist in the game was fantastic.
Yeah.
In the second half, though.
In the second half.
Yeah.
In the first half, we were normal shit Manchester United. Let's all hang ourselves down in the basement.
Honestly, what happened? Like, they just started playing one-touch football, and I was like, who is this team? What happened there? It was just like a setting in a game just switched.
Yeah, it's like they just changed the mode on FIFA.
Yeah.
Like, how can they keep doing this? Like, we're just so tentative and kind of disgusting to watch in every first half of football. You could easily miss the first half of every United match and check in on the second half.
It didn't seem to kind of click in the second half against Bucharest.
Yeah.
It was at the tail end of a few decent results. Not playing well, but, you know, getting wins, getting results out of there. And then I think the first 20 minutes against Palace, they were actually okay.
Yeah.
It looked like you could get a result out there, but the second half, they just fell apart. And the 2 goals were really poor goals to concede, I think. Poor defensively, poor shape. And yeah, it's just when you think we're going to get a roll going, they just kind of fall back into their old ways, you know?
Yeah. But it's
Sorry,
like,
that was just a moment to lament.
don't cut that out.
A moment of reflection.
But there's a lot of negativity coming on the back of yesterday's game, and I thought for the first 20 minutes we were really good. And a lot of the question marks about, you know, we just mentioned Kobbie Mainoo playing in the 10. He was moved up to the 9 yesterday. I went, oh man, why are you changing this? But again, it goes back to the issue that we've had all season. We're not putting the ball in the onion bag. It's as simple as that. We created maybe 3 or 4 chances yesterday in the first 20 minutes that we should have really scored. And it fell to Kobbie Mainoo. You know, I think Garnacho had a chance as well. And as soon as that maybe 20 minutes is up in every game for United that we don't score, all of a sudden especially at Old Trafford, we start to get a little bit tetchy, and you can feel it in the crowd, and it comes onto the players, and all of a sudden the players are going, shit, we haven't scored here. Yeah. And what happens is the opposition get a foothold in the game, and then anytime United go a goal behind, they don't turn it around.
I don't think we talked last week about Bruno Fernandes as a captain. Like, I don't
completely changed tack about him this week.
No way! Look, where was he?
I think he's amazing. He should manage Brazil. He should be captain of Brazil in 1970.
Yeah, I think it's so bad. Like, even when Martinez went down injured, like he wasn't even there to kind of console him. Yeah. Like, he was just standing around with his hands on his hips, like a crank child. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Am I the only one that's seeing that?
No, I know.
Did people see that?
He was noticeably
Yeah,
absent from like the more dramatic moments.
I think he's kind of tired of carrying this team. Like, Bruno Fernandes is the kind of guy, when you do a job interview and they ask you what your biggest weakness is, and you go, I care too much. Bruno is literally the embodiment of this answer. Like, he cares I truly think he cares too much, and he tries to do too much, and it's detrimental to his own game.
And I think on top of that, then it's detrimental to how the team plays, because he's trying to be at left back and right wing and in the goal and up front, and you're just know. And I think when you have managers like Erik ten Hag previously and now Ruben Amorim, who are very structured in how they set up a team, you can't have lads wandering and leaving gaps in behind. Like Bruno Fernandes is when he plays in the 6, he's dropping back. He reminds me of Matic, what Matic used to do. He'd be in line with the back 4 receiving the ball, and you're going, will you get up the field? And then Bruno's receiving the ball, and he's trying to pass it into Bruno Fernandes in midfield, but Bruno Fernandes is in the back 4, and there's nobody there. It's so frustrating.
I'd echo that about Mainu. I mean, look, again, can everyone just relax? He's 19, 20?
Yeah.
Give him a break. Like everything that's been going on, you give him a break. No, but more, most importantly, look at the business that we've done. Although, look, we're not setting the world on fire, but it's very, very clear that he's buying, for the future. He's buying for 2 years down the line. This year, at the end of this season, I think we just need to manage our expectations, Joseph, about who's going to do well.
While looking in the opposite direction.
Yes, no, don't hit me in the ear. I don't like getting punched in the ear. But I think that Mainu, give him that freedom to be more in and around that kind of number 10, number 9, false 9 thing, where he's in and around the action. Look, if that goal went in at the start of the last match against Palace, it would have been a completely different game.
I don't think they should ever play a false 9 again, looking at that sort of setup.
Yeah.
Well, it says a lot about the options he has up front, that he's willing to put them both on the bench.
Yeah, it's a big statement out of him. Like, you're going into the final couple of days of the transfer window, and the last game before the transfer window ends, you're leaving both strikers on the bench. For me, that's a cry from Ruben Amorim going, get me a striker.
Yeah. What does that do to a couple of young lads' confidence?
Well, tough shit.
Well, they're
you know what I mean?
Like, they don't have any confidence.
They've got enough chances. They've got enough chances, and I understand that you can't expect a 21-year-old in Rasmus Højlund to lead the line on his own. He needs help. He needs 5 games to sit on the bench when a Osman or a Harry Kane or somebody like that is scoring goals, where he can learn and come in, and there's no pressure on him. But we don't have that luxury at the moment, and if you don't do it, I totally agree with what you're saying there, that a lot of and we'll get onto the transfer window, I presume, later, but you got to get the balance right between signing players for the future and players that can get us up the bloody table now,
I think he's got everything you need to be a top centre forward. Just needs to be taken out of the limelight for a bit. I never understand why we didn't go for Ivan Toney when he was on.
Oh, that would have been nice.
Like, that's literally the perfect signing for that United side at the moment.
Yeah.
Experienced centre forward who can just carry the line while a younger one develops.
And he can give you great odds on when he's going to score or not.
Exactly, yeah.
It's always worth a bet.
He's worth a punt. I don't know. I think I've been saying it for years, and I touched on it in the last podcast, that our lack of a striker leading the line and leading by example, a la Harry Kane, has just absolutely decimated us over the last couple of years. And I miss that kind of, even a Cavani, you think might have left a year too early, or one of these types. So, I mean, is there any? I don't think we're going to sign a striker, are we? How long have we got now? Nothing really.
We've got about
2 days
now. We've got an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe.
Anything can happen.
If by the time people are listening to this, they'll know.
Well, we signed a left back.
We did.
Yes.
and we need one.
Yeah.
Actual fit left back.
Yeah.
Sound
But-
the alarms.
Yeah. and Again, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this kid coming in. I think he's 21 as well, is he? 21?
20. Yeah.
You know, he's not going to fix all of our problems either. Now, I think he will give us more balance. Like, as disappointing, say, as Malacia is at playing when he does play, you know, he's just not up to it. He does give you that natural balance of having a left footer on, you know, instead of Delo constantly cutting in on his right foot, you know. And when you're playing two narrow 10s in front of your wing backs, if Delo is cutting in, there's nobody overlapping, you know. So it's very frustrating. At least if you have a natural left footer, you know, you'll have that issue there. But yeah, I don't see one 20-year-old who was in a relegation battle in Serie A turning our season around.
Yeah, having said that, he can play with both feet.
Yeah.
You know,
That's good.
That's an advantage.
That's good, yeah.
Like he can play the soccer ball, which is important. No, but like again, he's one for the future. He scored recently for Lecce, and all the team made a really big deal about it.
What's his name?
Dorgu.
Dorgu.
Patrick Dorgu.
Sounds like a
Patrick
fifth
Dorgu,
word.
a Danish international. So they made a big song and dance about it because he scored with his bad foot. You know, he's confident. He's coming in. He's coming from a team where he's playing well, and he is confident. That's positive for us. And Lazarus Luke Shaw, you know, literally stepping out from the you know, the WWE wheelchair, so to speak.
There's
is
no better
back in
player on
training.
earth than Luke Shaw right after Man United have signed a new left back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He'll be mint for the rest of the season. Dorgu
The
won't get a
sacrificial
sniff.
lamb.
Do you not think so?
Nah, well, he probably
He'll have to, like, so what, are you going through the visa process? Can he, like, play next weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah?
he's ready to go. He signed. He was unveiled in Old Trafford before yesterday's game as well, so he's good to go.
With the other lads,
Adrian Heaven.
Hayden Heaven.
I'm in
Great name.
heaven.
Yeah, there's going to
Who's
be.
this, a new signing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he came
the
from the
son from
Arsenal
Arsenal, yeah.
Academy.
Okay.
So obviously United got Cheeto Obi Martin in the summer, who scored something like 60 goals in the underage set up last year, and United got him on a free contract because he didn't want to agree a deal with Arsenal. But we've done the same now with this guy. By all accounts, Cheeto Obi Martin was one for the future, but by all accounts, this guy is ready to go into the first team. Now, maybe not starting all of the time, but you know, certainly to be in around the first team training and on the bench.
You remember the summer Rasmus Højlund signed and we played Arsenal in the pre-season friendly, and he absolutely bodied this young centre half. It's the same lad. So they might have just signed him to give him some confidence in training. You know?
Yeah.
Body this dude every week.
Just clean him out.
Yeah.
Look, there's some interesting things happening. Again, it does feel kind of bargain basement. Let's take, you know, our competitors, young players off who are falling out of favour, but are they young lads who are looking for big money and the other teams are like, well, go to United because they'll give you that money?
Well, I don't think they're getting big money at United.
No.
You know, I think these players are signing.
Well, Dorgu was on what, 30 grand a week?
Yeah, very little money. And like when you talk about, let's say Anthony, who went out, you know, there's people saying that Anthony was on 200 grand a week, which was nonsense.
Got man at the match in his first match.
He did, you know.
He did, yeah.
He got an assist, but
What a wonderful piece of business.
yeah. But I think a lot of the salaries are overinflated, you know, by what we hear in the media. You know, Anthony was on about 115 grand a week, I think. You know, which, you know,
That's
not to
terrible.
be
That's
sniffed
terrible
at,
money.
You know what I mean?
I don't know how he's
But
doing it.
I think a lot of these academy guys are coming in because of, you know, say the tradition that United have at producing academy players and actually getting them into the first team, you know. Whereas if you go to outside of maybe Saka, who have you seen that's come through the Arsenal Academy in the last few years? Now, I presume the Arsenal fans will probably slate me in the
Our
comments.
blog,
But,
it's like 124.
and if they do slate me, what the
DMs now.
bloody hell are you doing listening to our podcast?
Your own podcast.
You love the hay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting things happening, but you know, it's all. Let's face it. Realistically, now, you know, there are positives happening. We're the only team in any European competition that's gone unbeaten. Positives. We have to, you know, it's one swallow doesn't make a summer, but it's looking good for the Europa League, and it looks like that's probably only. It's probably going to be our only chance of silverware.
What's the situation with the Europa League? Because I'm a little bit confused by it. How's that working out? So they're in the top
Yeah, so the top
3?
the top 8 automatically go into the last 16 round. And then from 9 to 24, there's 16 teams there. They go into the last 32 and they play each other. And then the other 8 will follow the top 8 into the last 16.
Okay.
And from the last 16, it's the same as the old format. Last 16 quarterfinals.
We've avoided an FA Cup replay.
Yeah, we've avoided 2 games, the last 32 round, which is home and away legs.
Right.
But other than that, it's exactly the same.
And we've avoided some teams that we would have won.
But there's a lot of talk as well about the Europa League, that United should be winning. There's still teams in, like if you look at how United are playing, there's teams in there that, you're talking about Lazio, you're talking about Roma, you're talking, teams that are going to give you a game. Now, you can be very lucky. You always say good teams win the league, lucky teams win the cup. Yeah. But you get drawn against one of them teams, a Lazio or a Roma, in the way we're playing at the moment, we're out. I'm convinced by it.
In the first half, but the second half, we'll be back.
Yeah.
I suppose let's jump into the Rashford thing. I made up for the guy, but I mean, I've liked him as a player, but as we mentioned on the last episode, I mean, before he had that absolutely incredible season, he was turning over 10, 11 goals a season. He wasn't this Ronaldo goal machine. He wasn't. So I think we should try and remember him for all of the good stuff that he's done for United. I think.
Well, it's just a loan deal. He's gone on loan.
Yeah, but there's
he's not going forever. He'll be back.
Yeah,
don't slag Daddy while he's away.
But there's an option to buy, isn't
There's
there?
an option to buy for 40 million summer.
That's really low.
Is it?
Well, for the amount of money you would have gotten for him a couple of years ago. But
40 million for the year.
for
in
the
total.
permanent transfer.
transfer.
Oh, for the pair. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah.
But I think a big issue with that is the fact that they're covering 70% of his wages at a standard, and if certain metrics are hit, it'll go up to 90% that they'll cover. So he's automatically the highest earner in Aston Villa's history. But I think if you're talking about 40 million coming in for an academy player, you also have to realise the money you would have paid his salary for him not being there. And I think you'd save about 90-something million. So if you get 40 million in the door, and I think you're saving about 50 million on what you would have paid him, it's big money.
I think it's telling what he said in his statement, or in his first interview rather. He was like, "I'm delighted to be joining a team that suits my style of football." So I think that just kind of confirms what we were all thinking all along.
Low effort, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I've-
Lazy.
I'll sit up there, lads, lash it up to me.
Yeah. But I don't think he can have any complaints. He's been inconsistent under 4 managers.
Do you think he's going to show up for Aston Villa?
I think so.
No.
I honestly don't. Now, look, I mean, Unai Emery is a fantastic manager, and he has a great track
Good
record.
evening.
Good
evening.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
He's got a great track record of actually improving players and getting best out of them, in fairness to him. But can I see him going in? I mean, the thing about it is he's leaving Manchester United without kicking the ball in the last 3 months, and he's going straight into a Champions League last 16. So it's up to Rashford, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah.
It always has been, though. It always has.
Yeah, it
been.
always
He's
has
just let
been,
himself
I'm
down.
saying this about Villa the whole season. I think they're a good show for the Champions League. I really do, especially with Emery's record in the Europa League. I really do, and I'd love that for him on some level. I think,
Was Aston Villa after McTominay and Maguire?
No, that was West Ham.
Oh, that was West Ham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same colours, though.
This is a GAA podcast. Isn't it?
Yeah. You can tell.
Welcome to Over the Bar with Sean McCucker. I think they've been playing some really good stuff. Emery's, apart from looking like Dracula, is a very charismatic man that seems to be able to get, really good performances out of not mediocre but average-ish teams.
But it has to be said as well how crap of a manager Steven Gerrard was, considering Unai Emery took the same team that Gerrard had with Villa from relegation to Europe, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Wow.
You
Didn't
know?
he
Yeah.
just get sacked
Never
in
thought
Saudi
of that.
Arabia as well?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he did.
Did he?
Yeah.
Shy.
Oh, we're all devastated.
I'm just surprised Emery would take him though, because he demands a lot from his players, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you don't get a lot from Marcus Rashford. Like,
I was surprised.
just the level of effort. I never understood that, because like he's literally living all of our dreams, right? He's a boyhood Man United fan playing for Man United. There is no excuse whatsoever for the lack of effort, in my eyes.
Mm.
I just wonder how much he paid to get someone to go through all the Google Earth photographs from 20 years to find
that
him
one photo.
getting the bus to training that time in the last week. That popped up rather conveniently, didn't it?
Yeah. But again, we're talking about Rashford. You know, it's going to be his choice how he performs. He's probably not going to move to Birmingham. You know, it's
He probably
an
picked
hour
it because it's so close,
It's
right?
an hour and 10 minutes down the road. You know, he'll probably commute. He's going to be still in Manchester. He's going to be around the same people. He's going to be doing the same things. Is he really going to change? You know,
Did Tevez live in Argentina when he played for United and he just like flew? He never lived in Manchester. Like I think he just flew into training from Argentina. Yeah,
I think he fucked
Google
up.
that. Google that. There's something
every
there.
day.
That cannot be true.
Imagine the points he had on his frequent flyer miles.
Ryanair loved it.
I think what you might be thinking of there is when he moved to China, he actually went to Argentina and never came back, and they were still paying. He was on like 700 grand a week, and he was like, "I'm just not coming back." Stick your
Oh wow.
yeah.
No, I can confirm that he did. Carlos Tevez faces further disciplinary. He was at it when he was at Man City. After he flew to Argentina without the club's permission on a number of occasions. He just kind of fucked off. I see his good luck.
I read somewhere that Tevez didn't live in Manchester when he was playing for United.
Who would live?
And he was just like, I'm out of here. I'll fly in on match day.
I see
Jet lagged.
I see you Friday.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're looking at Rashford's stats over, since 2015, so what, 9 years, whatever. I mean, he's only scored 87 goals. Now that's a lot. It's a lot for any other player over a career. But when you're playing for the, conceivably the top 1, 2 or 3 clubs in the world in terms of
Money, I hope you're going to say.
footballing ability. Yeah, but that's the return there is not anywhere near the standard it should be. Not when you've had someone like a Ronaldo doing the business.
Yeah. It's just so strange to see him in another shirt. Like, remember that moment we had Sancho, Greenwood, and Rashford, and you think that's the front three for England for the next 10 years. What the
Yeah.
hell happened? Like, how did it go so wrong?
I don't know.
At this point now.
Yeah,
And Aston Villa seem, I know it's not a cheap club, but it feels like a cheap club. Like to see Rashford in an Aston Villa jersey will be kind of weird. Like looking at a Kinder Bueno wrapped up in tinfoil.
He's got big shoes to fill, like a Gabriel Bonlahor on that wing, stuff like that.
they're a good club.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, they're a big club in terms of their history. They've got, is it 1 or 2? I know it's 1 European Cup that they have, but I mean, what they're trying to do is admirable. I suppose the 77 million they've got in for John Duran from Saudi Arabia.
That was a weird bit of business.
outrageous.
Great.
Yeah, it's great business for them, but they wouldn't have been able to afford Rashford if it hadn't have been for that.
They must have thought it was like a joke email, surely. Like,
Much?
a Saudi prince wants to buy Duran for it.
Send us your passport details. Oh, do you actually want them? Okay.
Really? Okay.
The crazy thing about the Saudi deals is that they're signed to the league, and then they're given a club once the
So the state buys the player, and then they
state buys the player, and
divvy
then
him
they're
out
assigned to a club within the league.
Is that how it works?
Because the state owns the league, and they own every club within the league.
and it's completely transparent.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everything's above
Nasty
board.
will tell us next week when he comes back.
Yeah, from his adventure in Saudi. Look, I mean, I think Rashford, himself would admit, or we'll be hearing in the future that he would have preferred Barca, but they just couldn't. They just couldn't balance the books. They're all over the shop. Who would actively choose Aston Villa over a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona? It doesn't make sense. But let's talk about some of his positive moments over the years. I mean, when he burst onto the scene, burst onto the scene. He was really spectacular. He was a breath of fresh air. So fast and so likable. I mean, how do you go from just like working class hero and all of the great work he's done? I've always said the work that he does outside of that and his MBE and all that stuff, incredible stuff. Like stuff that really important, make a difference in life type stuff. How do you go from that to like he was there through all the Ronaldo stuff as well, so surely he knows that there's certain things that are expected of you playing for a club like Manchester United. But yeah, positive stuff. I mean, winner against Man City that time.
Penalty in Paris.
He literally himself, almost single-handedly did over.
If you're talking about his work outside of football, he didn't actually cook the lunches. Like, he was just the face of a campaign. He didn't, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Meals on Wheels.
Yeah. So I don't even know. Maybe he's just not a nice person. Maybe he's just not nice.
Yeah, I'm hearing that about him as well, though. It's the entourage thing and bad advice and all that. I mean, how does someone fall so? There must be a part of him inside that's incredibly disappointed.
Well, I think there's an awful lot to do with the fact that United have been in turmoil for the last 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years, you know, and when you've got, you know, vast amount of managers that play completely different, it can't help any player. Now, I don't think he's helped himself either over the last few years. You know, he seems to be falling on the Jesse Lingard, Paul Pogba side of the boundary more so than the maybe Ander Herrera's or Lisandro Martinez side. You know, so and I think when you're the poster boy as well, you know, there is a lot more pressure on you. You know, when he's coming through, he's from Manchester. His picture is the first one you see on Old Trafford. Everybody wants him to do well, but equally, when he doesn't do it, you're going to get that criticism. You know, you see the likes of David Beckham back in the 90s. I don't think it's to that level, but you can see similarities in how he has been treated. But again, if you're playing well week in, week out, consistently, none of that will be an issue. And
I think he probably got a lot more patience than he
100%.
deserved, just because he is a local lad coming through the academy, and then eventually people just went, you know what, enough. Like, you know, Ruben Amorim came in, had one look at him and went, you can fuck off. Like, you know, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's
look,
just down to him. Like, you know,
just deviating slightly for a minute. I'm delighted the Garnacho thing has been sewn up. I think we all love him. You know, don't see like he's starting to, he's playing the lines well, and you can see that he's working that little bit harder. I'd hate to see him go, and I just think of all the kids that'd be distraught if he moved on. I'm delighted that's kind of tied up, or for now, at least until the end of the season.
Well, it's a good contrast, you know, like, and we mentioned it last week. They were both dropped for the same game. Garnacho went one way and Rashford went the other, you know, and at least with Garnacho, he's trying to learn. He's trying to take on. You can see it week in, week out. He really is trying. He's by no means the finished article, but like we said, he's a big talent that you need to be holding on to.
Yeah, I personally would have been more disappointed if him or Mainu moved on, but yeah, I mean, there are positives. It's nice to see that we have absolutely no goalkeeping technique whatsoever yet again. How do you feel about Andre Onana, or as we've called him in the past, no.
I don't mind. Like, I don't think this is going to be it.
Just before you say anything else, it can't be as bad as what Kevin Doyle called him on Champions League coverage last year.
What?
He called them, no word of a lie, chocolate wrists. Can you believe that?
Wow.
So go on, continue.
Now I really need to be careful.
No, I think it was like obviously because chocolate is melts.
It's melty, yeah. That's what he. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why he said it.
Oh, jeez, I don't know how they didn't pick up on that. And he got away with that. But anyway,
I think he's grand. I think he's fine. Like, I think his back line lets him down. So, like, there was a point there where he was going for the ball and Dalot was going for the ball, and neither of them knew what was going on. And it's a lack of communication between the back line and the goalkeeper. I don't care who's in the goal. I think you're always going to have that if your back line is a bag of nerves. And that's what they are half of the time. Yeah. Actually, like Dalot.
Does that come from not trusting their goalkeeper, though? You know, because he has made a lot of errors. Like, he has his moments where he pulls off a save, and you're just sitting there going, "How has he done that?"
Yeah, he'll save a penalty.
He lets in a goal, and you go, "How has he done that?" You know, it's so inconsistent, and you're not going to win anything if you have a goalkeeper.
There's times he's in no man's land, though. There's times where he just looks like he's on a different continent.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and the African players are just on another level. They're on another level in terms of they can just do something that you go, hey, are you still playing soccer here? You know, what are you doing? You know, I do think Onana has been massively inconsistent. And he single-handedly got us knocked out of the Champions League last year. It has to be said throughout the group stage. I mean, if you're to let Andre Onana go, you're probably going to have to spend 60, 70 million to replace him with a decent goalkeeper. I don't think he's going to go, you know, and
We've never talked about this on this, and even on some of our other bits, but the De Gea thing, his stats are matching, if not superseding, Onana's at United. Should we have held on to Dave saves?
Well, I don't see why you would get rid of David De Gea if you're going to bring in a guy who makes just as many mistakes as him. And I know all of this modern way of you need a goalkeeper to play out, and it is important if you're trying overloads and to suck the opposition in, and you've got a goalkeeper with an extra man to play out. It's all very important. But I still go back to the same fucking stuff. A goalkeeper's first job is to keep the ball out of the net.
Yeah, but I think if your team isn't scoring goals, I think it puts a lot more pressure on the goalkeeper. Like, genuinely, so much more pressure. If you look at the Spanish league, there's always goals going in, and there's not as much criticism that falls on the goalkeeper, because your team's job is to outscore the other team instead of that's kind of what it's like in the Spanish league. Or even in the German league, it's like, it doesn't matter, whatever, stick any goalkeeper. Let's play last man back. Let's play fly keeper.
10 points, heads and volleys.
That's what it's like, and I think it's not a fair point in the history of Manchester United to make an assessment on Onana. I think he's grand. I think he's fine.
And the thing about it as well is that a striker can miss 9 chances and score the 10th. And you win the game. A goalkeeper makes one mistake and you lose.
Yeah.
It's a different kettle of fish. The further back you go on the team, the less mistakes you can make. So when them mistakes are made, they're highlighted way more.
Yeah, let's talk about Licha Martinez.
Oh, my heart is broken. I think that, I said it in the group chat, I think that's the reason why Manchester United goes down to the Championship.
Because of that moment.
That's
significant.
I would say so. Do
you think we're getting relegated?
I do now.
Oh, no.
I do now.
Ooh.
I think if Crystal Palace is putting 2 past you, and I know Crystal Palace is a dodgy team and everything, but I don't think that bodes well.
The frightening stat is that Everton, West Ham and Spurs, not in that order, are below us. The next 3 below us. If they get a better result than us in the next game, we'll be in 16th or 17th in the league table.
Man, it's so within the realms of possibility that we're getting relegated.
Now, there is a bit of a buffer. I think there's 12 points between us and 18th at the moment. We're on 29 and 29 points.
What's the safety? Is it 40? Yeah?
And relegation, I think, is it Leicester are on 17 points?
Is 40 like what they say to aim for?
Yeah, 40 is the safe.
We're not too far.
But we've only got 14 games left, and if you're talking about a point a game, we're not getting a point a game at the moment.
Man. We've lost the most, or we've matched the most home losses
since 1893.
Wow. Wow.
Great time for a podcast about it.
We were talking about it here before we started, that I think Jamie Carragher mentioned it on Monday Night Football last
Look.
that he's always looking up into the ceiling as well. He said that Man City have conceded more goals than Manchester United this season in the league. Now, City are in 4th, I think. So our issue is not scoring goals. I don't think I think defensively we could be better, but I think it's so one-sided in terms of not scoring goals. It's crazy.
Yeah, that stat about the 1893 stat is just crazy, that an entire generation of people were born, lived the full life and died and never saw this team be this shit.
Yeah.
That's just outrageous.
I'm frightened.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to get my dad to come to Old Trafford with me. Last time he was there was 2001. And he went, I'm not going. No way. I just can't guarantee you win. I'm not. Why would I?
You'd rather go to an away game.
Yeah.
Go to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
See Rashford.
Yeah.
That'd be the best you'll ever see a Man United team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look, I've said this before. I think the United atmosphere away is always that little bit better and more electric as well. Yeah, just my own thoughts on Licha. I think he overextends himself, and that's what we love about him. But in a very kind of, and I mentioned this in the group last night, he's in very close danger of becoming like Brian Robson, where we'll need him very badly, like what you said there, with the potential of a very tight run in, and he just won't be there, and there'll be the 5, 7, 10% confidence missing in the back 4 can mean all the difference.
He was playing really well in that left-sided centre half.
Yeah.
Well,
it was a bit ropey, but he was starting to come back into himself again.
That he was getting, he was playing.
It would
really
move
well.
in the ball. He's one of the only defenders that we've got that can actually progress the ball into midfield and be comfortable on it.
Yeah.
Do you would you subscribe to the statement now that he is injury prone? It's been 3 big injuries now that he's had in what's he at United? This is his 3rd season, is it?
Yeah, well, you can play for Man United for 10 years and not be injury prone like Luke Shaw. You know,
weren't all his injuries kind of like freak impact injuries on his knee? Like just the one yesterday was just the weird twist from the challenge.
Well, you mentioned that about his other knee.
Yeah, when Tufal just kind of fell on it. Yeah. Like these are just like freak knee injuries, not something like, you know, if you talk about like a Mason Mount or Luke Shaw's hamstrings.
Yeah.
They keep blowing up on him. It's just freak impact injuries for some reason always on his knee.
Yeah. And if one knee goes, you're always, you know, and they did try and rush him back, or he tried to rush himself back the last time he was out. And he came back and then he was out again for a couple of weeks.
I worry about him, though. I worry about him. Like, you're getting these big injuries. An ACL now is a massive injury. And with all the will in the world, you know, and the mentality that you have, these injuries catch up with you. And he's in his late 20s now. Was he about 27, I'd say? Is he? He should be in his prime. They catch up with you.
Yeah, and a knee injury, once it happens, then it's very easy to happen again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a second knee, like you overcompensate.
That's a second knee. No more knees. It's no more knees.
You don't have 3 knees. You've only 2 knees. Yeah.
Sorry. The one thing I would say is that it's the one area of the pitch we've actually got a bit of depth in. If you think about it, you know, you've got Yoro, you've got Maguire, you've got De Ligt, you've got Mazraoui, who played really well there the other night against FCSB. This new young lad coming in that can back up as well if you need to. The glorious Luke Shaw has played left centre back before. You know, he's coming back. I think we will have enough cover, but I think what we'll miss him the most with is dressing room, mentality, all of that kind of stuff. You know, he's a proper leader.
I think the new fella coming in is going to be the starter.
This new Adrian Heaven.
No, the Lecce fella.
Grogu.
Count Dorgu.
Count Dorgu.
One.
Yeah, he's going to be the starter.
No, he will be. He will be 100%.
Yeah, like Luke Shaw just doesn't go straight back in. He can't. He'll have to.
And the greatest player that's ever lived, Johnny Evans, is still there as well.
Johnny Pirlo Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk. We've brushed on a few of touched on rather some of the transfers, and maybe something will come in late. I don't know, but. Are we?
You have the alerts on?
I've got man.
Yeah.
Phone is vibrating away.
Is it? Oh, go on, give us some news.
Have a little look there. Yeah, I think.
Don't disappoint us here, Jack.
PSG player.
Have signed Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo.
Well, back.
Nothing at the moment.
Fuck. Well, fuck then.
Well, Laurie Whitwell has said in The Athletic that United's transfer dealings seem to be done for January.
Oh.
He's pretty legitimate. So.
I just don't know how they can't, like...
We've let 2 attackers go and not brought in anyone.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing. Like, why are they not... Like, you look at Barcelona, right, and the wage bill that they have and the crisis that they're going through. Like, surely, you know, we could have, like, Lednowski or... How do you pronounce it? Lednowski. He mentioned a couple of years ago he's very close to coming to United. Surely he'd want to maybe consider... Why are we not in for someone like that to take stages off?
Why would
he's playing Champions League football and competing for the La Liga with Barcelona? Why would he come for a
championship? Is the greatest league in the world.
Where's all that? Well, you know what I mean. Isn't there somebody like that? Surely somewhere in one of the what anybody?
I think the only option for United, if it was the case, was a loan deal. So Matthias Tell, for example, was the big one. It looks like now he's gone to Spurs. But on the flip side of it, as frustrated as you are as not bringing in a player, you don't want to do what Ed Woodward would have done either, which is panic buy in the last day of the transfer window and spend 70 million on a guy who's actually not your target. And I think what Ineos are doing is they're playing the long game here, and they're saying, and there is going to be a lot more pressure on them in the summer now because they haven't signed anyone. But if they bring in a Gyökeres or an Osimhen in the summer because they're their number one target and they're going to wait for him. Liverpool are very smart over the last 6 or 7 years in doing that. Van Dijk wasn't available in the summer. They waited. I think they waited nearly 18 months for him. They got him in January. You know, Alisson was the same. If that's the case with Ineos, then brilliant. But I think, you know, you've got to back up the summer transfer window now with proper signings that go straight into this team because we haven't signed anybody in this January.
My God, that's Odion Ighalo's music.
Piper. I don't know. I'm very like Joe says. I think that it could be Leach could be the catalyst for something absolutely seismically traumatic coming down the tracks. Where do we go from here? Just Ruben Amorim. What can Ruben Amorim do with what he has? Go around the grounds on this one, which is what can he do to turn things around in the time that we have left? If we don't get that striker,
I'd say hop on a plane to Lords and or go to Medjugorje and get in his hands and knees and
Up
play.
the knock. Up the
Got
knock
that
airport.
I don't know, like, especially now that the transfer window's closed. Nothing. I mean, it sounds like it's park the bus for the rest of the season and scrape points and maybe get a win here and there to stay up and then rebuild over the summer. That seems to be what the plan is. Shite though, it's boring. Can you get a loan? Can you get someone on loan outside of the transfer window? Or does that happen?
I think the loan window stays open for is it a small time after the
couple of weeks,
transfer window maybe, but not a lot. No, and you can get emergency loans, I think, but yeah, we're not getting any of them.
Bring back a Gallo, man.
Yeah, but I think in relation to Amorim, I think, like you were saying, I'm completely 100% on the Amorim train. You know, first class, let's go. But I think the league is done now. Of course, it's done. You're not getting European football. Just don't get relegated. Just don't get relegated. Pick up a couple of points here and there when you can. Put all your eggs in the Europa League basket because it's your best chance of getting back into the Champions League. But Ruben Amorim has to be backed correctly now. But on the flip side of that as well, there is a case that he has to improve results as well. You can't just keep going out and getting beaten at home, you know, and saying this is what we're trying to do and so on and so forth. So yeah, he's got to pick up points where he can, but he's got to be back now. It has to be everybody going in the same direction, and he needs to be given that time. We mentioned last week, didn't we, about, you know, breaking the monotony of sacking a manager every 2.5 years, you know, and there's already, I can see it, you know, in the comment section, there's already Man United fans going, what is this lad doing? You know, but you've just got to play the long game.
No. I just got to give them the summer, and then if things don't turn around by then, like, I don't know what the game plan is there. Like what is Bayern knowing in January? What was that? What was that then?
Yeah, but that wasn't him. that was the board above him. You know what I mean? He's involved in, say, along with the directors, about identifying what he needs and what he wants. It's up to the director of football, the technical director, the chief scouts to go out and actually make the signings. You know, he's there with his hands out going, boys, where's my striker?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But does he not hire like the scouts?
No, they're all in place before. So Ineos have brought in Jason Wilcox as a technical director. They've got Omar Barada as CEO. They've got Vivel as chief kind of transfer guru kind of guy. They're the hierarchy above him that they'll all sit down. They'll identify where they need to improve, the players maybe that they would like to get. They'd have a list for each position. And, you know,
that Dan Ashworth fellow who
Dan
prunes the
Ashworth,
bushes.
yeah, exactly. He disappeared fairly quick. And then Ruben Amorim will step aside and go, right, boys, here's my list. This is who I want. Go and get them for me. You know, and there's nothing more he can do other than that. The days of Fergie showing up at a lad's house,
Yeah.
come on, sign for me, are done. You
Meet them
know,
at the airport.
yeah, exactly. They're done and dusted.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
And poaching at the last minute. Iman, what would you say? Are there any obvious things that he can do apart from praying or fucking go and see a faith healer or whatever?
I mean, you brought in a manager who plays a very, very specific system, and you don't have the players to play that system, and that's not his fault, right? There is an argument to be had, should he be a bit more pragmatic? But then the counter argument is he has his philosophy and he sticks to it, you know? It just depends on what point of view you have there. He's not going to get anywhere with this squad just because it doesn't fit his philosophy. So you have to give him at least a summer to bring some sort of shape to his system, and then see where it goes. You know, you have to give him a bit of time. I don't think people saying to kick him out straight, like, you know, losing patience with him already, that's not justified in any way. But just give him at least till the summer, survive this season.
Yeah,
you know, just get through it.
Yeah, let's not
let's
we
forget
forget. I
about
mean,
it.
you know, the whole believe notion about United, and I always say this: we're the underdog, and that's what's so magical about us. We have to kind of, like you say, throw all of our eggs in the Amorim basket and go, look, stick with him, hell or high water. I'm not comfortable with the lack of striker, and it does, like, there's always the what ifs. But then you look at someone like Evan Ferguson, who hasn't been having a great season, but you think surely he would have been worth a little bit of a punt up there.
Was he better than Rasmus Højlund?
Not this season.
So then he's not worth bringing in,
But that goes back to what we've been saying about panic buying.
Yeah.
Is Evan Ferguson going to be? You're probably going to spend, if Evan Ferguson is coming in on a permanent, you're probably going to spend about 40 million on him. Okay. Now, is he going to score you 25, 30 goals a season for the next decade? Absolutely not. In my opinion, he won't. He had one really good season, and he's also very injury prone.
He had like one really good month.
Yeah, true.
He's played him on 2 years.
Yeah. So it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. But I think you're right in what you're saying. It's tough being a fan looking at it going, can we not, where's the Van Nistelrooys of the world? But where's the Louis Saha signings or the Alan Smith signings? That these kind of players under the radar that can come in and maybe get you 10 or 15 goals a season. That's the
Solskjaers of the world.
Yeah, exactly. But again, you also have to realise that these players were coming in to a well-oiled system as well.
I think we have those. I think we have the Louis Sahas.
Yeah.
We already have them. We have too many of them. Like, we need the bigger names, like, you know what I mean, to prop up these lads.
Yeah.
But we just don't have them.
Yeah, it's it doesn't make for very inspiring viewing. But let's look ahead, shall we?
Let's.
In optimism.
Yeah.
So at the weekend,
Don't tell me to be optimistic.
I'm sorry, Joe. What do we fancy at the weekend? What do you think?
Who we playing?
Leicester City, Friday night in the Cup.
Cup. Van Nistelrooy back again at Old Trafford. Not getting paid for it this time.
Probably take out Onana and play Iman, yeah?
We do tend to spank Leicester every time we play them, though. So.
Well, Van Nistelrooy spanked Leicester. That's the thing. I think he beat him twice in his
did,
interim period,
Oh,
didn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
That's an interesting
Might
dynamic.
get United, another win against Leicester on Friday. Yeah, look, the FA Cup, another FA Cup run, I think would be more than welcome.
Yeah, I think I think we're a cup team at the moment, aren't we? You can never count us out in the cup game, but it needs to be something that we stay in. To be honest with you, it's one of our only chances of silverware. But again, like we were saying, if you win something like the FA Cup or the Europa League, it's not going to. It's. I hope it doesn't paper over the cracks. Yeah. You might finish the season with a smile, but you've still got a lot of work to do. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think football in general, it's entertainment, and you're supposed to watch it and enjoy it. And you're supposed to watch your team winning trophies and enjoy that. And when we beat Man City last year in the FA Cup, that was the best night out for me last year. It was amazing, and if we could do that again, that'd be class.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm all for winning trophies.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that more. Let's win more. Win more is great.
I watched it in a bar in Bilbao.
All right.
I was on holidays and it was just full of Man City fans, and it was absolutely brilliant.
That's great.
Yeah, I was live streaming on my phone as well. It was absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
I always say that I don't care if we play bad or we have a relatively bad season, but give us a day out.
Yeah.
Give us a day out where we can go out with our dad or whatever, or brothers or mates, and just give us something to celebrate.
Yeah. But
even a cup final, I don't even mean winning it all the time.
Do you think now going into this game that, Paul, that technically there's a bit of a stumbling block here because Van Nistelrooy knows this squad inside out?
Yeah, and upside down. Yeah. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we lose by an odd goal. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose every game for the rest of the season, to be honest. But I don't know. I'd say maybe a fluky 1-0, or I don't know. But I hope we should turn them over because they're not playing very well either. So it's a cup tie. Anything can happen.
You never know what to expect with United, and you never know what to expect with a cup match. So it's like if I was to. I am a betting man, and I wouldn't know where to put my money on this.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, I think
Both teams to score.
Yeah. That's a safe one, I'd say.
Yeah.
he does know the squad. There's lots of talking points, which I've no doubt will continue over the next couple of weeks and months. And I think that it's a tough one, and this is a real, like, we've been spoiled for so long. We really have. And I think that especially for younger fans, I'd say, kind of hang in there. Hang in there. I mean, Liverpool have been living this life for a long time, and they, talk to them about it. They know all about being absolutely brutal. Is that right, lads? But it's supporting teams. It's supporting your team, when they're on their knees, as much as it is. Like, and I said this before. I think if United were relegated, I think I'd probably go over and see them more than I do now in the Premier League. And I think
because it's cheaper.
Yeah,
because there's no
because Ryanair won't
more matches.
Because Ryanair won't be monitoring the flights the way they do. Well, I think that there's a lot to be learned from this, and I think some United fans, with the greatest respect to them, we've been humbled enough, but I think on some level it might be good for us. I think if we were to go down, I don't want to.
No.
No.
Probably do with the parachute money.
Yeah.
Probably make some signings with that parachute money, and then coming back up.
More dividends.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I just can't go through a summer of the comment section of haha, you're in the championship, But I don't think I don't see what the positives are in it. There's less revenue, less TV money.
The Champions League money when we win the Europa League.
Yeah, but who are you going to sign that's going to come and play in the championship?
Igalo.
Exactly, and then you're in the championship for
Lukaku.
and then you're in the championship for a decade.
Still in my heart.
I'd take Lukaku any day.
I don't know. I think we'll stay up. Yeah.
And I can't wait for away days in Plymouth.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna be beautiful.
Where do we go from here?
Plymouth.
Plymouth and Argyle.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, that's kind of concludes business, I think, for this one. Guys, thanks a million for supporting the journey so far. My thanks to Jack, Iman, and Joe. If you want to support the show, by all means, please do subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Spotify. Give us an L rating there as well. Give us a -5 or whatever, if that's available to you. No, give us a 5. And
Just like United.
Just like yeah, give us a 0.
A 0 point.
So thanks a million for supporting the show so far. Share it with a friend. Spread it around like
The clap.
the clap that it is.
like a cheap suit.
We really appreciate it. My thanks again to Magic Door Studios here, and we'll catch you next time for more attacking the Man United news.
Hopefully after a win.
Hopefully after a beautiful win again in the FA Cup against Leicester City. Thanks so much. And